Hello and welcome to Katrina's Creations. This is episode 401 for our Saturday videos. Let's get started. I have a finished object, and probably a lot of you guessed since I was working on it and hoped to finish it last week. I finished my brown cardigan. So last week I was just working on the sleeves and I finished them. It's all double crochet except for right at the edge here, and then I have a button band going around here and down the front where the buttonholes are, and that's all single crochet. So the buttons were made by Demetra, who is a viewer and regular contributor here on our show and tell. So thank you again, Demetra. This looks just what I was hoping it would. So I am really happy with it. So I will throw a little video in here of me modeling it. So here we have the sweater. You can see the sleeves are all the way down to my wrists, and the buttons come just below the chest, and then it's open from down so it can flare out a little bit to make it a little figure friendly. So there it is. I'll do the full twirl. There we go, and it's so impressive. I did that and did not tip over. So yes, this is my new sweater. So yeah, I am real happy with it. I will say that this yarn, to touch it, doesn't feel real itchy. It is 100% wool. It's Hawthorne Cottage, which is the name of the company. Yeah, they do still sell yarn. To feel it here, it feels soft, but when I put it on, I can feel it's a little rustic, which means scratchy, but yeah, so here it is. So if you're interested in knitting this or crocheting this, this is a pattern from Expression Fiber Arts. I got it on one of their free pattern Fridays. The pattern is called Marine. Now, if you aren't already a member of, or if you aren't on like the newsletter for Expression Fiber Arts, go over and do that, because it doesn't cost anything and they send you in your email a free knit and crochet pattern every Friday. Yesterday, Friday for yesterday, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Yesterday, on Friday, their patterns were both cardigan. There was one that was very, very similar to the Marine. It had pockets, but otherwise it looked very, very similar even in the construction. Just a little different on the edging for the button band, but they had a crochet and a knitted cardigan, and those are normally paid for patterns, but on Fridays they release 2 patterns each week, and then they show you what yarn goes along with it from them, because Expression Fiber Arts is a yarn dyeing company. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, go over and check it out, because they do give away some really pretty patterns. So that's one of my finished objects. Then I was putting together the last touches on the advent calendar that I am sending to Jane over in England. She and I are exchanging advent calendars. And in the course of doing it, somehow or other, instead of collecting 25 mini skeins, I had 27. So when I put it all together, I had 2 skeins left over. And so I made 4 of each of the 2 remaining colors. Here is the one. And I don't remember where I got this color from. I really cannot think where it came from. I don't know if it was left over from a project or what. So this one, I don't remember where it came from. This one I do. And there is 4 little hexies here. This one, this yarn actually came from Knit Picks, their Stroll mini skein set, and yeah, they're usually a pretty good deal. They are 20 gram minis, and you get 5 of them. And I don't know what the price is right now. I keep thinking it's somewhere around $20, somewhere in that ballpark. But yeah, so I have 8 more hexies to add to my collection. So what am I working on? Well, I started a knitting project. I showed you last week that this was the yarn that I was going to be using. This was yarn I got up in Maine last fall at Mother of Pearl, which is in Freeport, Maine. And it's a very busy pattern. It is, the company is called Knitted Wit Sock Yarn. There you go. And this color is called Mount Rainier National Park. It's an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. There's 420 yards. So I was like, what do I want to make with this? I knew that I did not want to combine yarn. I wanted this to be a one skein wonder because I did look at it and there is black in it and there is white in it. And I thought, well, I could mix a black with it or a white with it, and then I'd have kind of a striped effect, but I decided I didn't really want to do that. And you can see the color changes are pretty short on here. They're like every couple of inches. I think the longest run is maybe 8 inches before it changes color. So you can see here what it's doing. See a little bit of green and now it's already changing right there. So from previous experience, I have learned that if you have a busy yarn, you do not put it with a busy pattern. I will give you an example. This little hexie, you can see here, this was hand dyed by me. It was my first experiment. I took a class on dyeing yarn. This was my experiment. This originally was made into a very lacy shawlette that about drove my eyeballs crazy because the busyness of it had a very busy lacy pattern plus the busy pattern of the yarn itself. It made it very, very difficult to keep track of where I was at the pattern. Kind of made my eyes go wonky. And when I finished the whole thing, for all the work that I put into it, you really could not even see the pattern of the lace because it was pretty much eaten up in the yarn pattern. So I was looking for a pattern last week that I could do with one skein of yarn that would be something for around my neck because I didn't need any fingerless gloves. I don't wear hats. I get headaches from them. So I knew it was going to be a cowl or some kind of a shawlette or something type of thing. It was going to be around my neck like a kerchief or something. I finally ended up inventing my own, basically. It is going to be, I will hold it up to you so you can see this. This is a very basic pattern. It's not something I create. I mean, I've come up with this on my own, but there's lots of them just like this out here. So it is going to be triangular, but it's going to be narrow this way. It's not going to be very deep. It's going to be wide. So it should wrap around my neck, but it won't be very deep. Here's what it looks like. This is the center. This would be the top back, or the top center of the shawl. And so you can see the center just has increases on each side of the center stitch. And then on the edges here, there is also an increase. So every other row on the right side, I am doing a yarn over to have an increase. And then on the back side, which would be your wrong side, I'm just purling across, and then I do knit the edge here and the center spine stitch. That is all garter, but the rest of it is knit on one side and then purl on the other with four increases every other row. So that's what it looks like so far. So that's one project. And then I thought, well, what can I do with crochet projects? And when we were at the craft fair that we did last Saturday, there is a friend of Kim's who is she's an older woman. She just recently lost her spouse and she was looking for something to do. And so Kim's been teaching her how to crochet. So she started crocheting hats. Her idea was she wanted to do like a hat and mitten tree type of thing for Christmas. And so she is crocheting hats at this point to just be given away. And so Kim and I both said we would help out with creating some hats that she can add to the tree, because with being a beginner crocheter, there's no way she's going to get that many of them done between now and Christmas. So I started on one, and then I read the rest of Kim's email to me. They need mostly men's color hats. Yeah, too late. So the first hat will be pink. I figured somebody will want it. But anyway, here it is. It's basically just going to be a large rectangle that I will gather at the top, and you know, there it is. So what I am doing is I do a couple rows of single crochet through the back loop. This is not a pattern, I'm just playing with it as I go. And then I do 2 rows of double crochet, and then a couple rows of single crochet through the back loop, a couple rows of double crochet, and so on. So that way it does have some stretch to it, you know, for fitting around your head. So that's what I've been working on this week. What have you been working on? So Friday, yesterday's video, if you missed it, it was a little recap of Kim and mine's last outdoor craft fair. We have one more coming up in December, but it'll be inside where it's nice and warm. But you can see the recap of the craft fair we did at Camp Ador, which is a really, really pretty place, and you'll see that in the video. And we had a great time. We both did real well. The weather was gorgeous. It was perfect fall day. Yeah, and we had steady customers all day long, so it was perfect. I think it was one of our better times there, both weather and money-making wise. So if you missed that video, you can click the link right here and that will take you over to it. So this Friday's video is going to be a tutorial on how to make pom-poms. Because, well, this one is probably not going to turn into a pom-pom because I don't know if I'm going to have enough yarn. But yeah, it will be a tutorial on how to make pom-poms, and I do have a couple of pom-pom makers, which is what I will be using for the demonstration. So that will be this coming Friday. We are a third of the way to our next 100 subscribers, so if you haven't already, please click that little red subscribe button down below, and if you click the bell-shaped icon next to it and then click all, that lets you know whenever I am doing a video, which is Friday and Saturday, and whenever there's a yarn sale that comes along that I think is good that everybody else wants to know about. So yeah, I did do actually a little buying this week because one of the things I've made that's popular is hedgehogs. I made 2 of them with just some leftover yarn and they both sold. So I bought more of the like fun fur type of yarn that I was using to make the hedgehogs. So I bought a couple more skeins of that so I can have those ready for December since they seem to be popular. And maybe I'll put a little Christmas scarf on them or something to tie it into the Christmas theme. Now it's time for... Now in our Come and Get It section this week, we have a few sales that are going on. Lion Brand is running 30% off of all of their yarn and kits. The links to all of the sales are down below in the description box. Mary Maxim is offering $4.99 flat rate shipping in the continental US on orders that are $49 or more. So again, that's $4.99 flat rate shipping in the continental US, which would be the 48 states. For any purchase over $49. Knit Picks, they're running a good sale right now. They are offering 25% off of their 100% wool yarns. So I did a little looking to see what those would include. They actually are including superwash merino in with that. I'm pointing with a crochet hook. I have no idea why. Anyway. So anyway, 25% off of any yarns that are 100% wool. And at first I thought, oh, it just means things like Knit Picks Palette, which is a good yarn. But no, it turns out it's also on their superwash merinos. So yeah, that can be a really good sale. So it also includes, it does include the palette yarns, which if you're looking for any color, they've got like 120 different colors. It's a fingering weight yarn. But they also are, this also is including Wool of the Andes brand and Swish, DK, and Worsted. So those were the brands that I looked at, and that was just on the first page. And I think there was like 6 pages to look at. So lots of yarn, and it also included some of the yarns that can be dyed. So if you're into dyeing yarn, this would be the time to buy some because 25% off. So that is Knit Picks, and I think it runs to the end of the month. I seem to think that's what the date is. I didn't write it down. And then lastly, Lovecrafts. They are offering up to 40% off of their wool yarns. So it's more percentage off of wool yarns. So that is Lovecrafts. So that might be one worth checking out too if you're looking for wool yarn. I don't know if that includes merinos, you know, the superwash or not. And then they also have up to 50% off in their clearance section. Now, if you do go over to the Lovecrafts site, make sure you get into either the American or the one for Europe, because there's 2 separate ones and the pricing is different, and I'm not sure if the products are exactly the same either. So make sure you get the right, I've got them both listed. Make sure you just cut and paste the right one to look at. So that's what I have for you this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And I will see you again on Friday when we do a pom-pom tutorial. Bye, everybody.